Tesla cars are having a reliability problem in Germany. Oh no, how could that possibly be? I thought the made in Shanghai Model 3 was an exceptional car. It gets great reviews, it sells very well, and everyone who's compared them side by side with the builds from other factories, specifically Fremont, well, they just say it's a plain old better car. So how could this be? Let's find out. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. Now, worth noting that this is Thanksgiving week, and I am having a Friendsgiving on Friday. So if you're coming to that, let me know so we can plan accordingly. A bunch of ways to reach out to me. Do so if you're attending. Yeah, so let's look at this madness here. This is a pretty crazy one. Model 3 ranks dead last in TUV reliability test for newer cars. What on earth? Reliably bad. You get it, guys? Reliably bad. It's clever thumbnailery is what it is. Tesla Model 3 ranked last in a German reliability study of newer cars for the second year. The report found a higher frequency of problems with the lights, brakes, and suspension. No, you didn't. No, you didn't, and we'll get into that. Ridiculous. Earlier this week, a Consumer Reports said they were the least expensive to maintain over 10 years, but that doesn't mean anyone buying one is in for a decade of stress-free driving. Yes, you are. Certainly during the warranty period, yes, you are. This is very suspicious. How could this be? Look at this chart. Oh my gosh, it is off. It is so crazy. This is terrible. It is more than twice as bad as average. Or is it the test? This is a great way of how to lie with statistics. And this is all technically true. If you're giving a flawed test, then you're going to get flawed answers. Of course. So let's look at that Consumer Reports one. Sawyer Merritt posting out, Consumer Reports has named Tesla the cheapest car brand to maintain over a 10-year period. Well, how can that be? How can that be if the lights are going out, if the brakes are bad and unsafe? But if you look at the chart here, that's exactly what it shows. You've got some very low costs here on your Tesla. The 1 to 5 year cost, $580. That's ridiculous. That's just tires. That's what that is. 6 to 10 year cost. You've got some other stuff going on in that time, and it just gets more expensive from there. So how could this be? Well, let's look at somebody who actually buys electric cars. Edmunds owns 9 EVs, 3 of them they would not be buying a second time. Looking at this list, any guesses? We've got the Blazer, the Lucid, the Rivian, Tesla, and another Tesla. You've got the Mach-E, the BMW, the Lightning, and what is this in the middle there? A Cupra? Maybe. Oh, no, that's a Fisker Ocean. Apologies to both Cupra and Fisker. After spending 3 years and after spending roughly $750,000 on 9 cars for long-term testing, our friends at Edmunds put together a list of EVs that they would and would not buy again. So which ones would they not buy again? The problem, children, Lucid Air, retailing from $140,000. But what happened was it was a very early vehicle, and I think it's a little unfair to compare a very early vehicle. There's going to be early vehicle gremlins. We're seeing it with the Cybertruck. We saw it with the Taycan. It's an early vehicle. I imagine many of those have been resolved. I don't think it's the most fair comparison, but this is their decision. Next in line is the Blazer, which would not be bought a second time, simply because the reliability issues that plagued the crossover since day one. They said the car was drivable about 1.5 months out of roughly 4 months of ownership. That's not good. So which ones would they recommend? Well, they will not recommend the Fisker Ocean because they've had problems with it, and let's be honest, the company's gone. So which ones would they recommend? Well, the top of the heap is the Model 3, and second to that, they said, is the Model Y. These are professionals. These are people who are trying all the brands. These are people who are not in Tesla's pocket, and they like it. They like the Model 3 and Y. So what's going on? Well, let's get back over to the article that says Model 3 ranked last in the reliability study. Oh, wait, this is from a whole year earlier. Wait, you're telling me that they have ongoing problems and no one on the ground has noticed? I mean, if it's that unreliable, surely this would be the big story. You wouldn't need a survey to tell you. No one needed a survey to tell you that the Yugo was not a very good car. But all right, Tesla chose not to take part in J.D. Power's surveys, so it's not easy to compare the reliability. Well, guess what? Sometimes J.D. includes it themselves anyhow, but look, these defect rates are off the chart. Maybe it's just Germany where they don't perform well. Maybe there's something wrong with them. If only there were other surveys in Germany we could look at other than just looking at the pass-fail rate of vehicles in the testing that begins after 3 years of ownership. Oh, wait, there is. Tesla Model 3 crushes gas vehicle competition in reliability survey. The study by ADAC shows Model 3 is one of the most reliable mid-sized vehicles. Out of 1,000, 2020, only 1.1 vehicles broke down annually, which surprisingly is a slight increase from 2019 when it had 0.9 breakdowns per 1,000 units. That's really good. Gas cars, almost 7 per 1,000 units. This doesn't surprise me, I guess I would say. So this is, I think, a better indicator of what's really going on. I suppose a question you could ask is, what is that test? What are we actually talking about here? Let's share this tab. What is the test? It's mandatory. Once your car hits 3 years old, you have to go in for routine testing, regular testing, to determine the safety and roadworthiness of the vehicle. And what does it include? Well, the tires. If your tires are unsafe, you should know that. If that's why you're failing, you should know that. The lights. Now, remember that first story we looked at said, oh, the lights are failing. No, they're not. No, they're not. I don't believe you. You'd get an indication on the screen. You would know if your brake light needs to be replaced. Braking systems. Now, this is the big one, which we'll come back to in a minute, but the rest are chassis and structure, not failing, fire safety, equipment, exhaust, steering, all the other little things. And of course, you have to have your road safety triangle in the vehicle, a first aid kit, gloves. Interesting. So what's the brake issue? Well, the brake issue is they'll look at them and visually inspect them. Are the pads too low? No? Good. But what if the rotor is rusty? You see, if a brake rotor has rust on it, that's indicative of a serious problem. It means the brakes are probably not working at all because that's the only way cars stop historically. Well, that's not as true anymore. And if we look, this is the kind of thing that they're trying to prevent. That's the problem that they're trying to, if you see that, this brake will not stop a car. You can also tell there's no brake pads in here. That's why. If the brakes look like this, you've got a problem. Now, no one is saying the brakes look like this. If this was a known issue, we would see this in the news every day. It would be a top story. No, what they're seeing is tiny specks of rust. Maybe we can see something more indicative. Like this, they're on the surface. There's tiny specks. And that is enough to fail it, because in a gas car, where that is your only means of slowing down, that would be cause for concern. It is the test that is out of date. It is not the car that is failing. The test is failing you. So let's look at J.D. Power, because they've got a vehicle dependability improves despite continued problems with technology. This is for all vehicles, including Tesla officially included for the first time. This was a couple of years, two years ago, because they've got a good score, but they don't allow them to win awards because you have to give us your data. We want your data and your money. And if you do win an award and you wish to announce it, you have to pay them to license the rights to say, I won a J.D. Power award. Definitely not a racket. Well, they got a score of 242. How does that compare? Let's check out the actual list. That would put them real close to the top. But interestingly, 242 here, Land Rover is higher. I mean, Land Rovers are a maintenance nightmare. Lincoln, really? Audi and Ford. Okay, so that's kind of weird. I don't understand. Oh, that's problems per vehicle. Yeah. So a high number is bad. Oh, I see. So this is actually bad, Tesla. Oh, very bad. In the past, the year before, they had not included them. And the year before that, they actually had included them. No, this is February of 24. So for this year, they had in February of 24, did not include them. Here we are. This is, whoops. And in this one, let's see what year this is. 2021, they had given them a score. They just didn't put them on the chart. 176, that's a bad score. So yeah, JD Power is saying, no money from you, bad score. Not ideal, but it's how they do it. So the reality is you're going to get, you need to talk to people who have them. You need to look at actual owner surveys. You need to talk to repair shops. You need to understand what the test is and what they're trying to do with the test, because this is ridiculous. It is a little bit insane, a little bit bonkers. And by the way, if you guys cannot make it to Friendsgiving on Friday, maybe what you can do is come to the Chattanooga Charge in March. That'll be fun. We've got 9 clubs sponsoring it, including Michigan, Maryland, Florida, Quad Cities, Louisiana, Tennessee, Mississippi, Denver, and South Florida. Lot of great folks. They still have room for sponsors. I will be there. I will be a speaker. I am not an event coordinator or anything like that. And the list of speakers is already long, and it is still growing. What did we miss? What do we misunderstand? Leave it all in the comments below, and stay tuned, stay juicy. I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots on the flippity flop.